Mental illness versus YouTube. What could be the consequences of this? Is it me? Is it you? Is it them? Let's talk about it. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Please hit the like and subscribe button. So, I want to talk about a very important issue that we deal with on a daily basis, which is our mental health. When you have issues with your mental health, then it can result into mental illness. From a clinician standpoint, it could be as mild as anxiety to panic attacks, which feels like you're having a heart attack, to several psychotic diseases such as schizophrenia, bipolar, as well as depression, whether it's mild, moderate, or severe. Any one of us could be victims to mental illness. And there's nothing wrong with having a mental illness. But I took a break yesterday and I noticed, and I've gotten DMs about people behavior and if they actually have a mental illness. I'm going to say this: you don't need no one to tell you if someone has a mental illness. You can tell by the behavior if there's some issues. That's how I refer to it, because you got to be careful what you say as far as with that on people's names. Now, you don't want to talk, but some people do. I've been guilty of it myself. Things that you don't know for sure. But hey, yeah, we got common sense. We know if somebody's struggling with some mental issues. Okay? Is mental illness have a place in social media? Of course it does. We can educate on it. And of course, the people that we work with that participate on social media, some of them have mental illness. They have a right to have a YouTube channel, they have a right to be a subscriber or a viewer. But it seems like this is disregarded in the worst way. And it's just getting worse. And it's enveloping out of control. As you know, these YouTube streets have been vicious. Not a good environment for someone that's struggling with mental health issues. You can be bullied, doxxed, verbally attacked. And it's hard for someone who do not have a mental illness to deal with this issue versus someone that does. So I think I've talked about this story before, but I'm going to repeat it because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But also, I would like to see, I would hope that I'm going to put it in perspective on how cyberbullying, harassment can lead to a bad situation. So I've talked about, like I said, I've said this before, but to the people who haven't heard this story time, it's not actually my story. It's the story of my friend coworker. She is a nurse and she died January of this year. Her husband was also a nurse. He also died January of this year. This started early in the pandemic. He went to New York to um, work for COVID. They're real short on nurses in New York. And so he went there. He created a dating profile. I don't know, maybe he got a little lonely or something. That's where it started. Because someone they knew found the dating profile and sent it to my friend, his wife. She's very upset. Instantly posted it on social media, which was Facebook. And he couldn't come home right away and deal with the issues. But both of them were very reputable people, very, very well respected in the community as well in the nursing field. But he couldn't come home and address the situation right away. So eventually he did come home. And it was a little rocky from the start, but it seemed like they got it back together. This happened off and on all year. They would have valleys and hills, but they would make it very public on Facebook, posting text messages, videos, conversations with the kids. It got to the point to where they was separated. They had to go to the court, get a legal separation. Well, not a legal separation because there's not legal separation in Texas, but they had to have it stated on the kids' visitations, who would be the custody arrangements. So they had their house had a guest house, and so the judge, which I've never heard of anybody doing this, but they did not have a history of domestic violence that I knew of. However, we're finding out now that that was not so. So I think if the judge would have known that, had they wouldn't have made this arrangement, right? So one would have to go in the guest house for a week, the other one stayed in the house for the week and be with the kids until the final divorce settlement was in place. So this seemed to work for a little while, but it still was a constant with the family putting things on social media, Facebook, and so my friend, she would put stuff. Um, they show videos of where he had put cameras in the house, where he had put a GPS on her car twice, and Really weird stuff. So one day on Facebook, and these messages are still there, he said, if y'all put something on Facebook, either you or your mother, one more time about me, I got a surprise for y'all. Immediately, us that's watching knew that that was a threat on her life. Her mother also felt the same way. And she said, what does he mean by that? Is he going to hurt me? Is he going to hurt her? Is he going to hurt the kids? What does he mean by that? And they would send messages to the family on Facebook, excuse me, to say, y'all need to reel him in. He's losing his mind. That wasn't the best way to handle someone who wasn't identified as having mental health issues. However, just from divorce, you could end up having depression or some mild depression. I know I did. So they both could have had it at any point, which is normal when you're losing something. It's part of the grieving process. Depression is part of the grieving process. And it doesn't have to mean death. Anything that you lose in life could be a car, it could be a house. You go through a grieving process. So he said, y'all put that on Facebook about me one more time. Something's going to happen. And lo and behold, it did. Maybe a week later, she went to go drop the kids to school. She comes back. This was her usually routine. She comes back and get on the treadmill for 30 minutes. And then she goes to work. So he was in the house after she dropped the kids to school. So the kids were not there. He handcuffed her, put her in a bedroom upstairs. He meant to torture her to death. The things in the bag was things to torture her to death. He left the room. She was able to open the window and get out of it and jump from a 2-story window without breaking anything. This seems unreal, but it was real. As I'm talking to you today, she ran to her neighbors. She screamed. And they had some men working in the neighborhood because they actually heard her screaming. Then they heard shots, 2 sets of shots. Pow, pow, pow. Pow, pow, pow. So she ran to the neighbors. The neighbor heard, opened the door. He came behind her. He shot the neighbor in the leg. He shot her and killed her. And she weighed probably only 100 pounds. I mean, she wasn't about maybe 4'11", 5 feet. Very small, petite. She died immediately. He then went back to his house, barricaded himself, and he shot himself. I think it was 3 shots, the spectator said. So he didn't even kill himself off the first shot. So there was a bag full of money and all these things that um for in a bag to torture her. So it was a getaway bag, and then it had the things in there. So they left 3 kids, a 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. This is from cyberbullying. Well, it started before that, Actually, no, it didn't. It started on social media. This is because of cyberbullying on social media. If they could have worked out their divorce issues or their marriage issues, could it have been a different result? Privately, could it have been a different result? So I say that to also bring light to domestic violence, but also to bring light to what's going on YouTube with cyberbullying, doxing, especially on people with mental health issues. If you see it, have some compassion for those people. I'm going to tell you, honestly, I do. And y'all probably heard me. And yeah, I've cursed in the past. But on these people particularly, I don't go in on certain people because I know they're struggling with this. And I don't know what's the point or what they would do. This is a very serious situation. But then you hear people say, in my Danny voice, I don't give a fuck. Is this what this community, our environment, is this what we're doing? Do we allow it for some and not others? Do we hold all accountable? Because when I would go on my cursing rants, y'all held me accountable. So where's the gray line? Where's the boundaries? Are there any boundaries? There's a Bible verse that says, like, when you let evil in or the devil and God deliver you from it, every time that come back to you, if you allow it back in, it comes back 7 times 7. So it gets worse every time, until it envelopes into be a big mess. The only person that can deliver you from it is the good Lord above. So drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. My purpose for this message is to appeal to the community to show some compassion for people. You don't have to know what they have or what they struggle with, to have some compassion for people that, whether it's mental health or whether they have mental health issues or not, have some compassion. So y'all drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. Um, I look forward to seeing y'all in the next chat and video.